The 1961 cent penny from the United States of America is not merely a tiny coin lost among billions, but a unique piece of history that encapsulates the spirit, evolution, and craftsmanship of American coinage. To appreciate the significance of the 1960 penny, one must embark on a journey stretching back to the very roots of the American nation and its numismatic traditions, tracing the shifts in design, composition, and cultural symbolism that ultimately culminated in this particular coin. The story of the American 1-cent coin dates back to 1793, when the fledgling United States Mint struck the very first cents, the now highly prized flowing hair large cents. These early cents were hefty, about the size of a modern half-dollar, and bore simple but elegant designs featuring liberty and a wreath. Over the ensuing decades, the 1-cent coin would undergo numerous transformations. As technology advanced, populations grew, and economic conditions changed, the cent adapted, becoming smaller and bearing new designs that mirrored the spirit of the AG. In 1909, the cent took a revolutionary leap forward when it adopted the likeness of President Abraham Lincoln on its obverse. This move was historic, as it marked the first time a real historical figure graced American coinage intended for general circulation. Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor and engraver, was commissioned to design the coin to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Brenner's depiction of Lincoln, based on a photograph by Matthew Brady, captured the president's dignified and thoughtful visage. His design would become one of the most enduring and iconic in the history of U.S. currency. Originally, the reverse of the Lincoln cent featured two wheat stalks curving along the sides of the coin, representing agricultural prosperity. This wheat penny reverse design would remain until 1958. In 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat ears with an image of the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This change ushered in a new era for the Lincoln cent, one that would continue through the time of the 1960 penny. The 1960 Lincoln penny, therefore, featured Brenner's enduring portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and Gasparo's detailed depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet what makes the 1960 penny particularly special in the realm of numismatics is that it was a year marked by a major variety that captivated collectors. The small date and large date variations, in 1960. The Mint initially produced Lincoln cents with a smaller-sized numeral for the date. However, at some point early in the year, officials decided the date appeared too small and lacked the desired visual balance with the rest of the coin's design. Consequently, they altered the date punch to create a slightly larger version. As a result, both small date and large date varieties were produced, creating immediate intrigue among collectors and setting off a frenzy to acquire examples of both types. The difference between the small and large date varieties lies primarily in the shaping of the numbers. In the small date variety, the 0 in 1960 appears taller and the 6 is slightly weaker and more curled inward. In the large date version, the 0 is shorter and rounder, and the 6 has a stronger, more open curve. These subtle differences became the focus of intense scrutiny among coin collectors, who delighted in hunting down examples of each type. Adding to the excitement was the existence of both Philadelphia minted, no mint mark, and Denver minted, D mint mark, 1960 pennies in both small and large date varieties. This meant that collectors could pursue four major varieties: 1960 small date, 1960 large date, 1960 D small date, and 1960 D large date. Of these, the 1960 small date from Philadelphia became particularly sought after due to its relative scarcity compared to the others. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark located beneath the date on the obverse, produced a tremendous number of cents in 1960. However, the small date 1960 D cent also attracted attention, though not quite to the same fever pitch as the Philadelphia small date design-wise. The 1960 Lincoln penny continued the proud tradition established decades earlier. The obverse bore Brenner's refined profile of Lincoln, with fine detailing evident in Lincoln's hair, coat, and solemn expression. Surrounding the portrait were the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. For Denver minted coins, a small D appeared just below the date. The reverse featured Gasparo's image of the Lincoln Memorial, an iconic symbol of national unity and reverence for Lincoln's legacy. Under magnification, one could even discern the tiny statue of Lincoln seated within the memorial, a remarkable feat of engraving precision. Above the memorial was inscribed "United States of America," while the motto "E pluribus unum" curved gracefully between the nation's name and the memorial. Below the memorial, the denomination 1 cent was boldly displayed. Compositionally, The 1960 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition that had been standard since 1864. These coins weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19 millimeters. Their rich, reddish color when freshly minted spoke of the high copper content, though over time, circulation and exposure would cause many coins to darken to brown tones or develop attractive rainbow hues prized by collectors. The 1960 pennies, like many from the era, were produced in massive quantities. Over 586 million 1960 large date cents were minted, alongside approximately 2 billion 1960 large date cents from Philadelphia. Small date coins were much less numerous, particularly the Philadelphia minted examples, and this relative rarity contributed to their higher desirability among collectors that in the world of coin collecting, condition is king. While circulated 1960 pennies are common and often only worth face value, those in pristine condition can command impressive premiums. Coins graded mint state 65, MS65, or higher, exhibiting full original red luster without significant blemishes, scratches, or wear, are highly sought after. Full red RD examples are worth significantly more than brown BN or red-brown RB examples. The small date varieties, especially the 1960 small date from Philadelphia, tend to command even higher prices, particularly in high grades. Some collectors also seek proof examples struck for collectors at the Philadelphia Mint. These proof coins, with their mirror-like fields and frosted devices, add yet another layer of collectability to the 1960 cent. Perhaps the most famous and valuable 1960 cents are those featuring doubled dies, a type of mint error where the design elements are doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. Doubled die cents from 1960 are rare and extremely desirable, fetching thousands of dollars in the market depending on their clarity and condition. Errors and varieties in the 1960 penny series add to its intrigue. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and broad strikes are among the errors collectors seek. Particularly dramatic errors can turn an otherwise ordinary penny into a highly valuable numismatic treasure. Beyond mere market value, the 1960 penny represents a bridge between eras. It stands as a reminder of the enduring influence of Abraham Lincoln, the evolution of American numismatic art, and the small, often overlooked treasures that circulate through everyday life. Every 1960 penny carries a story of the hands it has passed through, the history it has witnessed, and the collectors who have cherished it. The 1960 penny is also emblematic of a period of American optimism and growth. The early 1960s were a time of rapid social change, technological innovation, and international prominence for the United States. Against this backdrop, the Lincoln Cent quietly continued its mission of honoring one of the nation's greatest leaders while facilitating the day-to-day transactions of millions of Americans. Today, assembling a complete set of 1960 Lincoln Cents, including all small and large date varieties, both from Philadelphia and Denver, is a satisfying project for collectors of all levels. It offers not only a glimpse into the minting practices of the time but also a deeper appreciation for the artistry, history, and complexity hidden within a seemingly simple coin. In conclusion, the 1961 cent penny, with its rich history, iconic design, and fascinating varieties, remains a beloved and significant piece of American numismatics. Whether tucked away in a collector's album or gleaming in a protective holder, it stands as a tribute to enduring American values and the quiet, unassuming beauty of a well-crafted coin. While most circulated 1960 pennies are worth only a few cents above face value, high-grade mint state examples, especially those of the small date variety, can range in value from $15 to over $5,500 depending on their condition, rarity, and desirability among collectors. The story of the 1984 1-cent penny USA coin begins in an era that was teeming with change, not only in the American economy but also in the field of numismatics. This coin carries with it a rich and fascinating legacy that has captivated collectors and historians alike. The United States Mint produced the 1984 penny primarily at two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins had no mint mark, while the Denver mint coins carried a D mint mark. The 1984 penny was part of the Lincoln Cent series, a coin that had already become a cultural icon since its first introduction in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design of the 1984 penny continued the classic imagery of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His portrayal of Lincoln on the obverse side of the coin remains one of the most enduring and beloved images in American coinage history. The reverse side of the 1984 penny, until the 2009 redesign, featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design crafted by Frank Gasparro. Gasparro's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial was significant because if you look closely, you can see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making it the only coin at the time to feature the same person on both sides. The 1984 penny was made of copper-plated zinc, following the major compositional change that occurred in 1982. Before that, pennies were primarily composed of 95% copper. However, due to rising copper prices, the mint shifted to a core of 99.2% zinc with a 0.8% copper layer. The shift was seamless in the public eye but introduced subtle differences that coin collectors have learned to appreciate over the decades. Beyond its general characteristics, the 1984 penny is renowned for a famous error, the doubled ear variety. In some 1984 pennies, a noticeable doubling of Lincoln's ear can be observed under magnification. This doubled ear variety has attracted significant interest in the numismatic community and is considered a desirable find for any serious collector. The error likely occurred during the die-making process, where a hubbing misalignment resulted in the doubling effect. Such an error elevates the ordinary 1984 penny into a highly prized collectible. The 1984 penny was minted in massive quantities with billions produced, which makes regular circulated examples common and easy to find. However, coins in mint state conditions, particularly those grading MS-67 or higher, become significantly scarcer. Additionally, finding the doubled ear variety in pristine condition amplifies its value substantially. In the world of coin collectors, condition and rarity are paramount. The Sheldon coin grading scale, ranging from 1 to 70, is used to determine a coin's condition. A 1984 penny graded MS-65, gem uncirculated, or higher is a rare find and commands higher prices. Collectors especially seek out red examples, those that retain their original bright copper-red coloration, as they are much more desirable than red-brown or brown coins. The sentimental value of the 1984 penny cannot be understated. It serves as a tangible link to American history, embodying the image of one of the nation's most revered leaders and representing a critical period of transition in coin production methods. Holding a 1984 penny can evoke memories of a simpler time, a connection to the past that resonates deeply with collectors and historians. Auctions and private sales over the years have shown that while ordinary 1984 pennies are abundant, exceptional examples can fetch impressive sums. For instance, a 1984 doubled ear Lincoln cent in high mint state condition can sell for hundreds, and sometimes even thousands of dollars depending on its grade and the intensity of the doubling. The journey of the 1984 penny from pocket change to collector's item is a fascinating story of craftsmanship, history, and enduring legacy. It reminds us that even the most humble of objects can carry profound significance. Collectors often recount the thrill of discovering a doubled ear variety, describing it as a eureka moment that ignited a lifelong passion for numismatics. Through its design, history, and the stories it tells, the 1984 penny holds a special place in the annals of American coinage. It stands not just as a piece of currency, but as a testament to the nation's cultural heritage, technological advancements in minting, and the timeless allure of collecting. Today, depending on condition and variety, the 1984 1-cent penny USA coin can be valued between $50 and $5,000. The story of the 1985 United States of America 1-cent penny coin begins with a chapter that is often overlooked in everyday life but carries the weight of the nation's economic and artistic legacy in the palm of one's hand. Born from a lineage that traces back to the earliest days of American independence, the humble penny stands as a symbol of perseverance, ingenuity, and a respect for history that only a few everyday objects can claim. In 1985, America found itself at an interesting crossroads of political stability, economic challenges, and cultural evolution. It was a time of transitions when the nation, under the leadership of President Ronald Reagan, was embracing both technological innovation and a return to traditional values. Amidst these tides of change, the United States Mint quietly continued its enduring tradition of crafting the coins that would pass through millions of hands every day, unseen and yet essential. The 1985 Lincoln cent continued the long-standing design first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin's obverse features a right-facing profile of Lincoln, a portrait so iconic that it has endured for well over a century with only minor modifications. Brenner's initials, which had been a subject of early controversy, were subtly placed at the bottom of Lincoln's shoulder, a quiet signature on one of the most reproduced images in American history. By 1985, The Lincoln penny was being minted predominantly in a copper-plated zinc composition. This change, which began in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper, gave the 1985 penny a slightly different heft and tonal quality than its predecessors. Though to the untrained eye it appeared unchanged, collectors and numismatists knew that the shift in materials marked an important moment in the coin's evolution. Design-wise, the 1985 Lincoln penny retained all the familiar elements that had made it a staple of American coinage. Above Lincoln's head arches the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that underscores the nation's philosophical roots. To the left is the simple yet powerful word, liberty, a constant reminder of the freedoms that the United States holds dear. The date 1985 is stamped crisply to the right of Lincoln's profile, and depending on where the coin was minted, it may feature a small D or S mint mark beneath the date, indicating Denver or San Francisco, respectively, or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. The reverse of the 1985 penny continued to showcase the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears reverse. Crafted by Frank Gasparo, the memorial design reflects not only Lincoln's lasting legacy, but also the broader American commitment to unity, equality, and democracy. A careful examination of the memorial on the coin reveals a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside, a remarkable detail that speaks to the level of artistry and technical skill involved in its creation. The words United States of America span the top of the reverse, while E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, graces the space above the memorial. At the bottom, the denomination 1 cent reminds the holder of the coin's value, however humble it may seem. The history surrounding the 1985 Lincoln penny is steeped in the broader economic context of the time. America in the mid-1980s was experiencing a period of economic recovery following a deep recession in the early part of the decade. Inflation had been tamed compared to the 1970s, but the cost of materials continued to be a significant concern for manufacturers and the U.S. Mint alike. The decision to shift from a primarily copper composition to a predominantly zinc core plated with a thin layer of copper was a practical one, intended to save money in the face of fluctuating metal prices. Yet, even with these changes, the penny remained a staple of commerce and daily transactions. Collectors have come to appreciate the 1985 penny for several reasons. For one, it marks a period when quality control at the mint was generally high, resulting in well-struck examples that display sharp details and clean surfaces. However, as with any mass-produced object, anomalies do occur, and certain varieties and errors from 1985 have garnered significant attention. Double dies, off-center strikes, and other minting errors are highly sought after by numismatists, with some examples commanding impressive premiums on the collector's market. Over the decades, the 1985 penny has found its way into countless coin collections, piggy banks, and pockets. Its survival rate is high, given the billions that were minted, but finding a pristine example, particularly one that has been carefully preserved in a high grade, can still be a challenge. Coins graded at MS67 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC are particularly prized and can fetch prices far beyond their face value. Proof versions of the 1985 penny, struck with specially prepared dies and offered in mint sets, offer an even more striking glimpse into the craftsmanship of the mint, showcasing mirror-like fields and frosted devices that elevate the humble penny into a miniature work of art. The value of a 1985 penny can vary significantly depending on its condition, mint mark, and any unique characteristics it may possess. In circulated condition, most 1985 pennies are worth only their face value, but uncirculated and proof specimens can be much more valuable. High-grade examples, especially those with exceptional eye appeal, can command prices ranging from a few dollars to several $100s in today's market. Error coins, depending on the type and severity of the error, can be worth even more, sometimes reaching into the thousands. As of now, certain rare, high-grade, and error 1985 1-cent USA coins have been valued at approximately $50,000 to $95,000, making them a hidden treasure for astute collectors who recognize their true potential. The story of the 2002 1-cent penny from the United States of America is one that blends history, design, craftsmanship, and the subtle beauty of numismatics into a coin that many have handled but few have truly appreciated. The 2002 penny comes from a long lineage of 1-cent pieces that trace their origins back to the very roots of American coinage, and its journey through time is a fascinating reflection of the evolution of American society itself. To truly understand the importance of the 2002 penny, one must first appreciate the deep and intricate history of the American cent. The first 1-cent coin struck by the United States Mint appeared in 1793, a time when the nation was still finding its footing and forging its identity. That first cent was the now famous flowing hair large cent, a coin much larger than the pennies we know today, roughly the size of a modern half-dollar. Its design was simple yet symbolic, featuring liberty with flowing hair on the obverse and a wreath on the reverse. Over the following decades, the cent underwent numerous transformations, both in size and design, as the needs of the nation evolved and as technological advancements allowed for greater intricacy and variety in coin production. By the mid-19th century, the United States Mint transitioned to a smaller cent, first introducing the flying eagle design and then moving to the beloved Indian head cent. These designs embodied the American spirit and culture of the era, serving not just as currency but as small, pocket-sized symbols of a nation's pride and aspirations. It wasn't until 1909, however, that the cent would take on a form that would essentially define it for the next century. That year marked the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it was decided that the great emancipator would grace the obverse of the penny, a significant departure from the classical depictions of liberty that had previously adorned American coinage. Victor David Brenner was commissioned to design the new cent, and his portrait of Lincoln remains one of the most enduring and iconic images in American numismatics. The original 1909 Lincoln cent featured not only Lincoln's profile but also 2 wheat ears on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and abundance. In 1959, to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse design was changed to depict the Lincoln Memorial, further solidifying the coin's association with one of America's greatest presidents. Fast forward to the year 2002, and the Lincoln cent was still going strong. The 2002 Lincoln cent, minted in Denver, Colorado, continued the long tradition of honoring Lincoln while reflecting the modern minting techniques of the early 21st century. The Denver Mint, known for its high standards of quality and production, struck millions of these coins, yet among them, certain pieces would come to be prized by collectors for their condition, rarity, and sometimes striking errors. The design of the 2002 penny is immediately recognizable. On the obverse, Lincoln's bust faces right, his detailed profile showcasing Brenner's classic depiction with slight modifications made over the decades to adapt to modern minting techniques. His coat is crisply defined, his hair shows fine lines, and his expression is one of calm dignity. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription "In God We Trust," a motto that had become a standard element on U.S. coins since the Civil War. To Lincoln's left is the word liberty, and to his right, the year 2002, accompanied by the D mint mark, signifying its creation at the Denver Mint. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, detailed in a way that, with magnification, one can even make out the statue of Lincoln seated within the memorial's columns. The design by Frank Gasparo had served as the cent's reverse since 1959 and was lauded for its intricate portrayal of the national monument. Above the memorial is the inscription "United States of America," while the phrase "E pluribus unum" arches between the legend and the monument. At the bottom, the denomination 1 cent is boldly displayed. In terms of composition, the 2002 penny is made primarily of copper-plated zinc, a formulation adopted in 1982 when the rising cost of copper made it impractical to continue producing cents from a predominantly copper alloy. Thus, the core of the 2002 penny is zinc, with a thin copper coating that gives it the familiar reddish hue we associate with pennies. Despite this change in materials, the look and feel of the coin remained largely consistent with its predecessors. The production numbers for the 2002 penny were substantial, with hundreds of millions of coins minted. However, as with many modern coins, condition plays a significant role in determining collectability and value. While worn examples in circulation are common and hold minimal value above face, specimens that have been preserved in pristine condition, particularly those graded as MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, are far rarer and much more desirable to collectors. Certain varieties and errors also contribute to the allure of the 2002 penny. Examples include doubled dies, off-center strikes, and coins struck on defective planchets. These errors, while rare, can command significant premiums in the marketplace, particularly when the error is dramatic and well documented. Collectors often seek out such anomalies, both for their uniqueness and for the stories they tell about the minting process and the small accidents that sometimes escape the rigorous quality controls of the U.S. Mint. The value of a 2002 penny can vary widely depending on condition and whether it features any notable errors or varieties. In circulated condition, it typically remains a common coin. However, a 2002 penny in uncirculated, high-grade condition can fetch significantly higher prices. Coins that have been preserved in mint state with brilliant red luster and few, if any, marks are particularly prized. The value also spikes dramatically for coins that exhibit rare errors. For instance, a 2002 penny with a strong double die obverse or a major off-center strike could command a premium far exceeding that of a standard mint state example. Even small errors, such as clipped planchets or die cracks, can add to a coin's desirability and market value. The Denver Mint itself has a storied history. Founded in 1906, it quickly became one of the primary production facilities for the nation's coinage. Coins bearing the D Mint mark are renowned for their sharp strikes and attention to detail, and the 2002 penny is no exception. Even after over a century of operation, the Denver Mint remains a crucial part of the U.S. Mint's infrastructure, blending tradition with state-of-the-art technology to produce billions of coins each year. The artistry involved in the design of the 2002 penny is also worth noting. Though often taken for granted, the level of detail in Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial is a testament to the skill of the artists and engravers who have carried forward Brenner's and Gasparo's visions. It is a small masterpiece of American design, fitting into the palm of your hand yet carrying within it the weight of history, symbolism, and national pride. Collectors today often seek out the 2002 penny as part of a complete set of Lincoln cents, or as part of a type collection showcasing different mint marks and minor design changes over the decades. In high grades, the coin serves as a shining example of the beauty that even modern circulating coinage can possess when properly cared for. Its place within the broader tapestry of Lincoln cent history is secure, standing as a modern continuation of a lineage that has spanned over a century. The beauty of coin collecting lies not only in the rarity of the items collected but also in the stories they tell. Each coin is a witness to history, a small artifact that has passed through countless hands, seen numerous events, and endured the passage of time. The 2002 penny, though young compared to many numismatic treasures, carries with it the legacy of the Lincoln cent and the American spirit it embodies. Reflecting upon the 2002 1-cent penny, one must appreciate the combination of artistry, history, and everyday functionality it represents. It reminds us that even the most common objects can hold profound significance when viewed through the right lens. Whether tucked away in a coin album, gleaming under a collector's careful eye, or jingling in a pocket, the 2002 penny continues the proud tradition of the American cent, bridging the past with the present and ensuring that the story of Abraham Lincoln, and the ideals he represents, remain a part of daily American life. In conclusion, while many 2002 pennies are worth only their face value, exceptional examples can command impressive prices. Depending on condition and the presence of any rare errors, the value of a 2002 penny can range from as little as 1 cent for circulated pieces to upwards of $50 to $4,200 or even higher for pristine, rare error examples that have been professionally graded and authenticated.